Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl. My name is Brian, and Nancy Mace does not hold back on this ridiculous question asked by George Stephanopoulos.
Yes, this morning. And you've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and two separate juries have found him liable for rape and for defaming the victim of that rape. How do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw?
Well, I will tell you, I was raped at the age of 16. And any rape victim will tell you, I've lived for 30 years with an incredible amount of shame over being raped. I didn't come forward because of that judgment and shame that I felt. And it's a shame that you will never feel, George. And I'm not going to sit here on your show and be asked a question meant to shame me about another potential rape victim. I'm not gonna do that.
It's actually not about shaming you. It's a question about Donald Trump.
No, you are shaming me.
You've endorsed Donald Trump for president.
Right.
Donald Trump has been found liable for rape by a jury. Donald Trump has been found liable for defaming the victim of that rape by a jury. It's been affirmed by a judge.
It was not a criminal court case, number one. Number two, I live with shame. And you're asking me a question about my political choices, trying to shame me as a rape victim, and I find it disgusting. And quite frankly, E. Jean Carroll's comments when she did get the judgment, joking about what she was going to buy, it makes it harder for women to come forward when they make a mockery out of rape, when they joke about it.
She's absolutely right. And you know what? It gets worse. Remember the Brett Kavanaugh situation? Where, what's her name? Christine Blasey Ford came out with this ridiculous accusation and nearly cost him a chance at becoming a Supreme Court justice. Turns out she lied. Now, I'm not going to say that about E. Jean Carroll, but that makes it very difficult for actual victims to come forward.
Doesn't it make it harder for women to come forward when they are
It makes it harder when other women joke about it, and she's joked about it. And I find it offensive. And I also find it offensive that you're trying to shame me with this question.
I'm not trying to shame you
at all.
In fact,
I have dealt with this for 30 years. You know how hard it was to tell my story 5 years ago when they were doing a fetal heartbeat bill and there were no exceptions for rape, incest, or rape or incest in there? I had to tell my story because no other woman was coming forward. No rape victims were represented. And you're trying to shame me this morning.
I'm just asking.
And I find it offensive, and this is why women won't come forward.
Women won't come forward because they're defamed by those who perpetrate rape. Donald Trump
they are judged and they're shamed, and you're trying to shame me this morning. I think it's disgusting.
I'm not shaming you at all.
I told my story. It took me 25 years to tell my story. I was judged for it. I still get judged for it today.
This is a masterclass of how to throw the questions back in the faces of people who are quite literally trying to catch them between a rock and a hard place. Stephanopoulos asked a pointed question. He tried to use Nancy Mace's history against her, and what she does is she turns it around and throws it back at him. And furthermore, I love it when right-wing commentators go on to left-wing shows and use their own language against them. It is a great rule of thumb to use because that line of thinking will cause the viewer to, oh. It's almost like a light bulb moment because you are using their language, their wording, their styles, and you are beating them with it. And it might get a few minds changed. And as Sun Tzu says, it is better to have one peck at the enemy's supplies than 10 bushels of your own. It is better to pick off a few of people who might think something different and then all of a sudden realize that the other side is right. For instance, the viewer of this kind of show, the viewer is definitely going to be a Democrat. It's definitely going to be liberal. No Republican in their right mind should ever watch George Stephanopoulos. But the viewers that do are going to be very left-leaning. And so Nancy Mace is going to use their own histories of, believing Christine Blasey Ford, believing in Jussie Smollett, believing that Amber Heard did nothing wrong. If you are siding with any of those people because you're being force-fed this kind of tripe, it's possible that what Nancy Mace is saying might change your mind. And that's going to be very, and these people are naturally going to be very triggered. And if you want to trigger liberals in your life, go over to my friends at baseby.shop, link in the description below, and show them the world just how conservative you really are. And in final, I'm going to wrap this up here. Nancy Mace is fantastic at her job. She is great at turning the left against itself. And furthermore, she looks really good while doing it. But her story is unusual. She has an incredible past, and one full of trauma. And it's being used against her by a mainstream media outlet. You have to push back on that. And that's exactly what she does. And it's why she's so good at her job. Folks, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this segment here on PolitiBrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, y'all have a good one.